Light Mythics have a ton of build flexibility. Let's talk about Lumera and all of the others and how exactly we use them. But before we get started, let me know in the comments, who is your favorite Light Mythic? I want to know who you love using on a day-to-day basis. First up is, of course, Lumera, and we've got a really interesting stat line here where she has high speed, high res, and pretty decent bulk overall. If we look at her skills in general, Monarch Stone gives a lot of support to other units while giving her survivability skills. Dragon Monarch gives a lot more support and helps folks at a distance. That 5x5 range is really critical to a lot of what she's going to do, especially in a season that is so Embla heavy. So let's talk about builds in particular. The first one I have here, I do think she has enough bulk to run as a melee frontliner. This is something you can put her up in front of, say, in this case, Byleth. And a lot of teams right now are going very Cavline heavy, and some of them are ignoring Embla altogether because of the power of nukes right now. But when you combine Byleth's bulk with the AoE protection that Divine Vein Stone has, you get a very powerful team, especially when you put in someone like Gatekeeper to stop warping from happening. And this is something where you can stick someone in front just to absorb the extra melee units that might run down, which normally those teams come with one or two. If we're looking at more of an Omni tank team, this is a unit that you can have quite a ways back. Keep in mind, Divine Vein Stone has to affect the unit that it's protecting, not the units that are attacking in. This gives you a lot of flexibility. In this case, I have bulked up her res so that she can also run Sabotage AR. The Ruse 4s are fantastic, but as soon as they hit, Catria Balls left. They just absolutely abandon ship. So you're giving units like Ullr AoE protection. It's very good in the meta right now. I have a feeling we're going to see more of it, but we already see units like Citrine and of course Igreen really coming down hard. Now, this is actually the highest scoring Light Mythic that we have right now, and 762 is very usable in Arena. This is one of those things that's nice to have one of these merged up because they gain value in two different modes and can be heavy contributors. I'm still keeping Attack Speed Scowl, and actually I'm keeping Dragon's Monarch in all of these because it really is a very good C skill. But you add in something like Magical Null Follow-Up and she can both support the units around her and make some pretty good follow-up kills as well. Keep in mind you will have to run the Distant Counter D skill. This is a very good unit, and I think you'll get a lot of use out of her if you choose to merge her up. Let's look at Peony though, and Peony is maybe the most flexible hero we have in the game right now, just because of all the places you can use her. Her stat line's decent. I mean, Ranged Dancer is not great. It's all the supportive skills they've given flyers that really make her powerful. If you look at her skills, it's really the things that she gives to other units that make her powerful. The healing and the stats, they're really good, as well as orders and null debuffs right now with Duo Sanaki running rampant is so powerful in a lot of modes. If we're looking at her builds, we have to look at enemy phase support first, and right here I've got her having Rock Slide Dance 3 and Guidance 4. Those two skills combined are absolutely amazing. For the support in particular, I've got Altina up here. Keep in mind, Altina doesn't take advantage of dodge very well, but other units will. This is a kind of a plug-and-play unit where you could put her in with many different Omni tanks, but you combine that with Resonant Blades and Resonant Shields with Askr, as well as the Isolation from Mila, and you've got a lot of help, which is nice because you're going to need all the help you can possibly get against some of these cav lines that are coming at us. Player phase support, this is one of my kind of favorite builds right now. This is way overboard than what you need. DTM, the Gale Force Master, will tell you that even Wings of Mercy 3 is really all you need to get going. But Wings of Mercy 4 can do a lot of fun things, Soaring Guidance, and even Attack Oath Echo. The idea is, in player phase, you don't really need Gentle Dream Plus. A lot of the things that Gentle Dream Plus does, it doesn't really help you. So taking that off and adding an additional piece of warping can really help you maneuver around a lot of the cav lines that are coming and that try to keep you cornered up into a nice little ball there. We've talked about it before. Dancers in Arena are so valuable. 754 is terrible scoring, but I don't care. This build here is one that I use, and I've got to tell you, it is amazing, and I don't regret it one bit, and I would rather play with a lower scoring Mythic than play with a higher scoring team and have to face the punishment without a dancer. So anyway, Firestorm Dance 3, amazing. B-Dual Flying 4, terrible, but it works. And of course, any guidance you want depending on your team. Let's go over Askr though. Sure, what do you do with Askr? This unit is kind of amazing and is slowly, in my mind, creeping past Peony and what she does. I think that dancers in general, there are so many good ones that there are other options for you in Mythics, and this one is incredible. I have been using this unit a lot lately, and I've got to tell you, there are a lot of flexibility type things that you can do with him. Let's go over the builds. The first build we're going to look at is for enemy phase, and that's one of the nice flexibility things about this unit is you can make him a Ruse 4 bot and go at it that way. The Resonant Blades and Shield is just so valuable for Omni tanks in the Age of Embla, where you can then stick them out in the distance and have them go do their business and have fun. But I am this build works just fine. Where this unit truly excels though is in this player phase build, and I've got to tell you, the Wings of Mercy 4 attack speed wild build is not a meme. The things you can do with this, keep in mind what that is doing is giving you cooldown reduction no matter what. And if he's transformed, he also has tempo. So this is essentially a one-hit Gale Force unit, which is incredibly valuable, as any Gale Force aficionado will tell you. Most of the time, I don't need Quick and Pulse, so you can put Attack Defense Ideal there and knock yourself out. 758 in Arena is good. It's not amazing, but this is still something you can use, and Counter Roar 4 is just an excellent skill. I am waiting for some sort of Beast 4 that keeps him transformed, though. That's really what I want. But let's look at the rankings in general. I've told you that I'm thinking about moving Askr up, but Peony is still there. I can't put her any lower because she just does so much and is so meta and counter meta all rolled into one. Askr, we've talked about how amazing he is, and if you want to invest in him, I don't think you'll regret it at all. Lumera is harder, and she is very much in the Mila role if you think about that, but really what she is a combination of Mila and Gotoh. So you have great support along with AoE protection, but you don't have isolation. I still like Lumera a lot, but I feel like if you're just coming into the game brand new, Peony or Askr are probably going to be who you're investing in. But let's talk about the next tier. Mila is an interestingly flexible unit that is... Actually, she has gained a lot of value in this new meta where enemy phasing is so much harder and you have player phase teams that you're going up against. In particular, hit and run teams are just fantastic with her. Let's look at her skills, and really the thing is how much support she's giving out. That lull attack along with the Omni +4 is not to be trifled with. That is a very powerful thing. You also have guard and isolation that's inflicting. That's very powerful, but that guard is very limited compared to the guard that you're getting from Lumera. So keep that in mind, but really the selling point here is isolation. What we have here, the first thing is the enemy phase, and I've got, again, just my token speedy Omni tank here with Ullr, and this is a fantastic build. Sabotage AR is nice. We talked about Ruse, that's something you can do with this unit, but I do like having a Smite bot, and I think she serves that role very well. Mila's Wheel helps give you an extra turn, which honestly sometimes can be really handy with some of these cav lines because it takes a while to maneuver all the way around them. You can get stuck. But this unit is obviously here just building up defense and having a good old time with it. She's a very good support. But this player phase build, and this is one that shows up on Twitter all the time. I'll see if I can leave a link to it in the comments, but the AoE build is so much fun. And look at how much attack she has, like 81 is really solid. This unit can go in and just absolutely beat the crud out of things. You add this in with, of course, Bernie, so that you can take her HP down and then warp all around her and have shenanigans happen. I love this. It's a very, very creative build, and this is a legit strategy that you can use with attack that high. As far as using her in arena, isolation can be very good in arena. The problem is a lot of the maps they have put folks on corners. This is a good thing. Like, we want them to do that because it takes longer for units to get to the other side. One of the things plaguing the game right now is the amount of movement we have on the size of maps. So unfortunately, she doesn't get as much of use there, but 756 is still respectable, and with Counter Roar 4, she has a lot of bulk. So you can have her as an isolation bot and have some fun that way. Not a huge recommendation there, but I do think she can work. As far as Ashe is an interesting unit who has lost a lot of value just because warping is so common, but it is something that should not be discounted how good Omni Warp is. Like, this unit can warp anyone, including calves, and that can really come into play. Now, this unit doesn't have her refine yet. This is the first time I'm showing this, and understand that these refines are estimates, but we're looking around August 2025. If we look at Horn of Opening, one of the interesting things is this whole mechanic with the more allies that are around her, the more things she can do. The problem is that normally doesn't go so well that I've seen, especially in light season, because Embla exists. It is harder to get units around this unit quite like you want. But keep in mind that Beast Transformation includes tempo. So that is something we're going to look at in the builds right here. Now, the first one is player phase, and I think this is really where she's the strongest. There are setups you can do where you can set her up and have your units warp in and not need Wings of Mercy. This can be harder to do, so keep that in mind, but if you're going up against a team here, attack speed clash, Wings of Mercy 4, she goes in, she has tempo with the other cooldown from other units, and keep in mind, since she's a mythic, it is easier to pulse her down. So this is really at max invest, you can go in and have a lot of fun with Gale Force, but keep in mind you can still do that with a minimum invest team and be just fine. In Summoner duels, she can play the frontliner role. Keep in mind that nukes are very, very strong right now, so this is a tough thing to do, but I've still seen folks use this and have fun. It is a thing you can get done with Counter Roar 4, just there's so much piercing that it gets harder to do this with. 758 is honestly good enough, like you can use her just fine. I've got Blue Flame. We are all anxiously waiting a beast/dragon special. I don't know why they haven't done it yet. As soon as that happens, I think that's a fun thing to have on her. All in all, this is a decent unit though, and I think you can have a lot of fun with her. I see you, Freyja Nation. I've been listening. So what I've got to say here is this unit is not as bad as she gets a rap for. Let's look first of all at these skills though. This is supposed to be one of the problems with this unit is that distant counter. And if you think of refines like an economy kind of, you have so many points to spend in different categories, and that is points that someone spent in distant counter where you could have spent it elsewhere. But I mean, full no follow-up, special acceleration, Canto, an Omni +8, and a Beast Transformation that honestly, Cav Transformation is pretty good. Like, there are a lot of fun things you can do with this. Binding Necklace is also good with just a lot of stats, and the fact that it removes the Beast Transformation condition is kind of great. I like this unit, and I think she can perform. Now, I'm not saying she is the best unit on the map. We've already seen that but she still can do a lot of things in the current meta. The biggest thing, and if you look at the player phase build, we're going to start there, is that a lot of the teams we're going up against, we've gone away from Catria balls, which are clumped. They're this huge like mess of units, and that was very hard because those were high bulk teams. We're going to more of the rangy teams that have lighter units that often negate, like they don't do near saves at all because they need as many dancers or nukes as they possibly can get. What that means is she doesn't necessarily need piercing like she used to. So there is a way that you can use this unit with Askr and just a ton of dancers and go in and really have a lot of fun as long as you have some form of double smite to get her in there. Now, this isn't something that I'm going to say is something you can do on every team, keep that in mind, but it is something you can do. As far as the enemy phase build, this is tough. On bonus season, you can get it done. Just look at the support there. Like, there's a lot of things going on. I've got Peony up there to help her with healing, and yeah, this is going to be a tough thing for you to do. The big thing, I mean, Duo Sanaki is out there and just absolutely demolishes this unit. But if Sanaki is not there, this is a way that you can get this done. Binding Necklace Plus is very good. Speed Smoke 4, yeah. Anyway, moving on. I want to say one more thing on the player phase that I forgot. If you just take this kit and replace Wings of Mercy 4, she is an excellent support unit and can really do a lot of good in those kind of teams because she has the built-in Canto. Canto is so huge. Your initiator is normally the one with the piercing that has to really go in and smack things around. Every other unit normally doesn't have to deal with that. Once you take care of the frontliners, this unit can come in and really do some damage. Arena's tough. 754 is just not really there. If this is just your favorite unit, you have her merged up and you need to be able to use her, you can get that done, but understand that's going to be very hard for her in that mode. Probably her best build is going to be that AR player phase, but with Wings of Mercy. But I had to look at her as for all the Freyja fans, I had to look at her as a carry. So going over the rankings, like I said, our Freyja isn't the highest unit, but I think that is about right there. I think there's a lot of fun that she can do. Mila kind of floats, and depending on your team, she could actually go higher. Like if you're a big hit and run fan, she could definitely be in tier 1. So keep that in mind as we go. We're going to go over an interesting unit in Gotoh though. Gotoh has been a roller coaster for me. I came in and I under-predicted how well he would be. He did really well, and then nukes just skyrocketed and his value plummeted, and then AoEs hit and suddenly his value skyrocketed, and it just up and down and up and down. Bless you, Gotoh fans. That is a hard place to be. Let's look at what he's got. The biggest thing is the reigns. Like, he is really taking down the attack of the enemy. You add on things like Null Counter Disrupt and a lot of these other a lot of these other skills. Forced Desperation is such an interesting one there, but giving AoE DR is really gaining in value in a lot of different ways. So that is something to look at. What I'm going to show you here is enemy phase support. This is using this unit as a carry. It's possible to do this on his bonus season. It's an interesting way to go and something you do. He really needs that attack res tempo, needs piercing in order to be able to do this. But the problem you're going to run into is being able to protect him against Embla. Embla can come in and just absolutely ruin his day. He really doesn't do well against that unit at all. So you'll have to look out for that. But other than that, this is something you can definitely do and have a lot of fun. This isn't going to solve every problem. Probably the other way you can do this, and looking at this enemy phase support team, one of the things you could do is actually have him be in a multi-tank situation, and he can really perform well here. Right now you've got like Ullr and then Gotoh, and you can have them in 2 separate places. Here I've got him as pure support, and of course you've got the Ruse 4, but if you wanted to do the AR enemy phase and then combine that with an Ullr team, it's something that you could get done and have this unit contribute pretty well. There are some units that this unit just takes care of. It's very nice. 756 in Arena is not great. He's kind of fun there, but again, he's probably not going to be your go-to. If you have him merged up, it's something that you can do though, and right here it's making him a Sabotage bot, and he's got high enough res to do that with a lot of units. Sabotage is less good in Arena just because you don't have as many units clumped up, but it's still a fun thing to do. Nerþuz feels kind of like Freyja Reborn. And the thing is, Freyja got to refine and got more things. So this unit is interesting. It has some interesting places to to be used. Let's talk a little bit about her skills. Horn of Land, we've got a ton of stats, special acceleration, null follow-up, and of course the Cav transformation stuff that gives you a lot of extra attack and defense. For Fruit of Life, one of the nice things you get is that AoE gravity, which can be really nice, but Ice Mirror is really the thing you're looking at most. Let's look at some builds. AR player phase. So I've got this unit as a carry in this scenario here. I have recently tried very hard to use her as a carry, and in the current meta she doesn't put out enough damage. Like, you can really have her more as a secondary unit. So in this particular case, like, Chrom would go in and be your main damage dealer, and then Nerþuz would come in afterwards and be a secondary. And because you've got the Change Fate, you can get Nerþuz close enough to where you don't have to use Wings of Mercy. It's something you can use with Freyja as well, but I most likely though you're probably going to put Wings of Mercy on this unit. The problem is this unit doesn't have Canto, but you get an alarm attack speed. You can see where I'm like back and forth. This unit has a hard time finding a home, and that's really the difficult part with her. Summoner Duels this is an interesting build. Patrick came up with this and uses Miracle. It is because she has Ice Mirror, this can really play in her favor. I will say this was done before nukes just got absolutely insane, so it's hard to use, but this is why this unit is a little lower. Like, she has a lot of interesting things, but the pieces don't add up to a unit that's very cohesive. As far as I wish she scored more in Arena, because she really would be a lot of fun, and I think you could do a lot of things with her, even with all of the trenches. But 756 is tough. Still, Panic Smoke 4 and Fruit of Life and Horn of Land, you would have a good time with her. It just, again, the scoring is not fantastic. So maybe you go Milner's Strike. Do people still play that mode? Anyway, okay, this unit is another one of my absolute favorites. I love Dagr. I don't know why, I just do. But the Pathfinder mechanic is so neat on her. She's got the very high speed and attack, and there are a lot of fun things you can do with her. But if you look, that is a sparse preference skill and preference weapon. The refine for her should be coming up in March. So that is the big warning. Watch out for any investment you make. Understand that there are things coming that might negate some of your investments. We'll talk about though. The player phase portion of this probably won't be negated. There's a possibility she gets some sort of special acceleration that makes Flash Sparrow not as good. That is possible, but I don't think that's something they're going to do. Then again, March is not that far away. Like, if you need to wait, definitely do that. Wings of Mercy 4 will not be bad on her, I promise. Same with Times Pulse 4. Having this unit go in and absolutely smash things is a lot of fun, especially when she yells, expect the best. I like this unit a lot as a secondary initiator, and she has more value than you think. As far as looking at her in the enemy phase support role, she can definitely do the Ruse 4 support. It's nice on her. No quarter is way overkill, but this is max invest. So what I will say is that the thing that people negate is how they really ignore how good she is at getting pots at the end. And that can be very difficult, especially with some of these high threat range teams. No longer are teams like clumped up in the corner, they're really coming after you. And being able to use that drawback and extend the range of a unit by 2 spaces is huge, absolutely huge, and can save you in some games. 758, is borderline, but you can use her in Arena, and I find that Pathfinder in Arena is incredible because, again, more range. This is a weird build, like Attack Speed Hexblade is maybe, it depends on the team right there, but Physical Null Follow-Up, the thing I find funny there is that's actually better than Skin Faxi. So anyway, whether you give this unit an attune skill or not, that is totally up to you. She functions fine in all of these without them, but I kind of find it funny that that since her her preference skill has been so power crept that it's okay to use those. Still, remember, March refine, so be careful. As far as the standings go, poor Dagr is sitting back there, and Nerþuz and Gotoh kind of have mixed uses. This is the needs help tier. I will say Gotoh might have some more value. The problem is we have him, and then we also have Lumera, who gives AoE support and more. So it's where do you put this unit? I've got him in tier 3, but I think that's where he belongs. Next up, though, we're going to talk about a fan favorite who has kind of fallen off. I love Air and have every kind of build you could possibly get on her. I have used her in every mode, in every way, and it saddens me that she's this far down, but such is life. Lifyaberg is better than you remember. I'll say that because so many of us put Tamari on her, we forget what this skill does. Like Omni +8, follow-up denial, guard. There are a lot of good things about this skill. Sparkling Boost Plus on enemy phase is incredible, and on player phase is crippling. So you can take that off or on as you like. Let's look at some builds though. As far as enemy phase support, she gives extra res through her weapon as well as the bonus. So that can really help out. And of course I've got my token Speedy Omni Tank here in Ullr, and res is anytime you can get extra stats, that's excellent. Giving her also Sabotage AR is good because she has the res to support that. And then the healing after every turn cannot be discounted. Seriously, it has saved my life. As far as player phase support, you're going to take off Sparkling Boost altogether, and you're gonna watch out for Lifyaberg as well, because that can cause some healing that you don't love, but she can still really get things done as a smite bot. The thing that you having a ranged unit who can be a ranged flyer who can be a smite bot can be really valuable. I've got it here with Summer Edelgard because hey, Summer Edelgard is still around and still doing things. So basically you've got the entire team, and this unit is just supposed to get your unit where you need her to be. Like, I will say, if you did the Summer Edelgard team, you probably want Guidance 4 instead, but having Soaring Guidance can help your flying dancers out a lot too. So sometimes mixing the two can be a lot of fun. 754. The sad thing is, like, Sparkling Boost Plus is amazing in Arena, but 754 is painful for a unit that isn't a dancer. But I mean, essentially this is a healer who can, I've been in Arena matches where I would love the extra healing from that and just couldn't get it, but 754 is just too painful. And okay, we're gonna get to the worst light mythic, and I mean consensus. This is a tough unit right now, and I feel for you Ullr fans because I don't feel like they did this unit justice. Like, she had her moment in the sun that was all of 2 seconds, and I mean, a green does everything that Ullr probably should have done. This unit at the beginning was an AoE monster, and now the bones are there though, and she should be getting refined about a year from now. So anyway, January 2025, that's approximate, but still something to look out for. The Desperation in her weapon, along with the offensive no follow-up and Nilgard, there are pieces there. Let's look at some possible builds, and the first, again, this is like the green we have at home. We are even getting rid of Ingri Ascendant and basically saying we're going to get that from Firestorm Dance from one of our dancers, which is kind of sad, but I mean, that's where we're at with this preference skill. Still, AoEs are very strong, and she can kind of get it done. So this is a way you can still use her. Enemy phase support, this is tough, but I mean, infantry no follow-up is very good in light season because you have so many infantry units. It's something that you can hand out very easily, and especially because you have so many infantry mythics, it makes it hard to use something like infantry speed tactic. So making her a Ruse 4 bot hurts, especially because Catria balls aren't huge right now, but it's about what you've got with this unit. And then we have, of course, the arena scoring, which is 754, and she doesn't really have the speed to support it, which is the hard thing. So I mean, what do you do? Looking at all of the rankings, and kind of what I wanted to capture here is one little chart that showed where these units were going. Like, I feel like Peony is staying the same. I always worry because I feel like staying the same is that peak right before they drop, whereas I feel like Askr's value is going up because there are so many player face strategies that are necessary with the crazy defenses we have to go up against right now. Lumera, what you really want to see when a unit first releases is value going up. Like they hit the ground running there, immediately their value goes up. Right now, I am cautiously optimistic, which is tough. Mila, same thing, about the same, but I mean, depending on your team, if you use hit and run a lot, this is a unit that you can actually use. Freyja just went up, so don't think that this is something where she's going to climb into tier 1. I just moved her up from tier 3 and wanted to reflect that. Gotoh kind of reshuffled, and I think AoE support is very good. Dagr is kind of staying the same. Nerþuz can't really hack it right now. Air is not getting any worse because you got a lot of flyer supports, and Ullr just continues to drop. That's where we're at with light mythics right now. I wanted to go over one more thing, and this is kind of the builds that I liked the best. This has no, these aren't even the best builds. They're just the builds that I thought were the most interesting. And for one thing, this Peony build, again, she's so adaptable, and putting her in a player face situation where she can do a lot of things and even use attack, oath, echo is really fun. The AoE Mila just blew my mind, and I think that's fantastic. It's probably something you would be able to do with Lumera as well, but it's so much funnier on Mila that I had to put it up here. And of course, this attack speed wild for Askr is just too funny and actually works. So great builds. Memories, you are absolutely amazing. Thank you for all you do. Take care and schedule an appointment with your fail just real soon.